Welcome to Tales of Learning and Forgetting. And hitting record a second time is a little bit easier, right? Because the inertia is moving towards staying in motion. It's Friday, June 11th. I'm still in Musulak Ravine Lodge for at least a few more days. I guess I'll be in a different place for the next 3 days. But I'm in Vermont, and in my attempt to ground these sessions in reality, I've been thinking a lot about how maybe 2-3 days ago there was news about a mass grave found by a Canadian school of like 230 Native American children. 60% of the schools were run by the Catholic Church, and they were basically cultural genocide. They were trying to wipe out Indian culture. Bloody history, right? And it's a school, which is the topic of this podcast. Anyway, between that and some other stuff I was reading, The Tragedy of Benson, Vermont is an amazing article by John Taylor Gatto, which I referred to yesterday without remembering it clearly, and I actually read it this morning. And talk about how, anyway, I'll link to that. But I wrote a poem this morning, which I wanted to share before I get into the alphabet. This is 193, Fierce. What's beautiful and good and true seems clear for those with hearts to see and fully hear, which I have rarely been throughout my life. But now the edge of presence is my knife. I cut through bullshit ways and scared desire. My soul is peaceful and my heart's on fire. I see the gory problems and do not collapse. What can we do? Reality needs maps. We need to chart the way from last to first, to hold the helm when seas are at their worst, to beg forgiveness from the ones we killed, to steal their land, so it can now be healed. Come back to earth. Come back to soul. Community is lost with cash the goal. Economies of growth destroy our home. Consumer roads all lead to burnt down Rome. The strong are weak. Their insides eat them up. Their heartless greed forgets to follow up and deal with tragedies they leave behind. Whoever cleans those up, support will find. Let's call a spade a spade. Our schools are shot. Their savage cruelty, which our own money bought, destroys the light that shines in every child. Good worker bees are dull and never wild. But we can heal these wounds from the divide. Unconquerable souls are deep inside. With love and insight, open to God's grace, we gather here to seed a better place. So when I was imagining the letter B yesterday, I was like, oh, it's clearly about being. And this morning, I'm wondering if it's about being or battling, or maybe it's one of those paradoxes that Parker Palmer talks about it towards the end of Courage to Teach. The paradox that you shouldn't go to battle, as I have often, before you're ready to just be. The Warrior of the Light book by Paulo Coelho, which is such an amazing resource. Because there's such an inner battle first, right, before setting institutions on fire. So being, battling, and also being with, which is a particular version of being. I'm excited to see how beautiful schools will be if all the staff are trained, are basically committed to a life of contemplation and skilled at council T group circling. Because I think with teachers being rushed um, and stressed and dominated from the top down by edicts that nobody really understands, like No Child Left Behind. um, it makes sense that teachers would have a hard time just being, right? I certainly, from 22 to 26 when I was teaching it, had no fucking clue what it was like to just be. um, so then what kind of children do we raise? um, they see, they're inspired by what they see. So hopefully the reverse is the case, and by focusing on new monastic order of modern teachers, we can actually um, do better. But more importantly than doing better, just being better. I think that's actually enough for now, for today. B is for being, so we can battle, so we can be with others. Something that's missing in our schools. I'm saying a lot, which probably means that I'm nervous. Not entirely sure how to say this. I think I have been so much better at doing throughout my life than being. It's still a new skill, and it's nerve-wracking to actually stand for that and talk about it. See you tomorrow.